a lot of people could complain that, this is Martin St. Louis' fault. And you know what? It partly is, in my opinion, because we're talking about this at forward. The same can be said on defense.
Yes.
Right? And the overutilization of Lane Hutson and Mike Matheson. I think
yes,
everyone, brain farts, are worth critiquing. And you can critique. I agree. He has not played his best hockey. Absolutely not. And has been, a giveaway machine over the little bit. But again, you cannot keep asking a player who is so clearly not a top pair defenseman to play top defensive minutes, and it doesn't fit, right? Like that's why the Cayden Gooley Alex Carrier pairing did so well, because those two can do really well, whereas Mike Matheson is more of a forward running defenseman. When you have a guy like Lane Hutson that's already doing that, Mike Matheson no longer really has a chair on the Canadiens, right? So he's being played where they need him to play right now, but it's not his role. And I think that's what hurts the Canadiens, and that's what hurts Matheson in this kind of situation. There is no reason that a competitive team should be playing Mike Matheson 25 minutes a game. And that is no disrespect to Mike Matheson. He should be playing 20, 22, I think, minutes a game, and, maybe not facing the opposition's top forwards. I think that should be, a Gooley Carrier pairing that could do that. But because of Gooley's injury, he had to step into that situation. So he was overused because of Gooley's injury, and so was Lane Hutson. And, Lane Hutson is an incredibly talented defenseman that's putting up, like we talk about it. It's almost the way that he plays on defense. If he wasn't there, I keep saying it, this team is a lottery team. It's almost heart-worthy what he's done. I'm not saying he should win the Hart in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just saying it's the.
Oh, he's MVP. I get it. Yeah.
If you were to take, like, the last couple of games, Lane Hutson has been the best player for the Montreal Canadiens.
Correct.
Correct. Let's all remember last season when he was not there, and Mike Matheson was the number one defenseman on this team. It was the same concept. Right? Yeah. When Cayden Gooley went down with an injury. Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's one of the reasons why I'm asking everyone to temper their expectations with Lane Hutson's future. The same reason I talk about Mike Matheson last year. Those secondary assists on the power play, they're really good stat patters, and he's had a lot of points robbed from him because some of his teammates couldn't, complete on the play, or all the posts he's hit, or all the unluckiness of his wrist shots in the slot. But there is a significant benefit with playing with Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield on the power play. And I think Mike Matheson benefited from it last year. And I think Lane Hutson has not only benefited from it, he's made it even better for those around him. And that's what makes him special. So you can count on him as your top pair on the left side. If Cayden Gooley can stay healthy, you have him as your second left defenseman. Kind of creates a situation where Mike Matheson's kind of the odd man out. And so right now, the Canadiens need all the manpower they can get because they're overusing everybody except for David Savard and Arber Xhekaj, because those two don't seem to have – well, Arber Xhekaj specifically doesn't seem to have the trust of the coach down the stretch. And it's really unfortunate because I think between the two of us, I don't think Arber Xhekaj is the weak link on that pair.
No, he's not. And that's why I wanted to ask you, is Martin St. Louis – has he fallen into the old safety net that coaches often find themselves in? Trust, and trust is often deferred to veterans.
Mm-hmm.
If we talk about overutilization, Mike Matheson, David Savard.
Well, not even overutilization.
I want to talk about goalies. What about managing of goalies, for example?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can get into that, but you want to talk about overutilization. I also want to talk about choice utilization. Christian Dvorak at overtime, because he doesn't feel like Nick Suzuki can win the faceoff. Right? Like, at one point or another, live and die by the sword. But, what they try to do is have Christian Dvorak win the faceoff and then, scurry off to the bench so that, Cole Caulfield can come in incognito at the blue line and go on a breakaway. Everyone knows that's coming now. It worked once. Everyone's seen it coming. It's like the passing back on the power play. Everyone's just waiting at the blue line because they already know it's coming. So I I get it. It's just the decisions aren't necessarily ones that I would take, and they're questionable in retrospect. And I think that's the key here. When it comes to goaltending, I mean, listen, yeah, I mean, they had no problem throwing Dobes to the Wolves when he was first called up, right? Like his first game
No
was against the
kidding.
Florida Panthers. I
Yeah,
think the
a
next one
shutout.
was against the Colorado Avalanche. I
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
wrong,
yeah,
but like that period in January was nuts. And everyone thought he was second coming. And now
yeah.
obviously they're seeing that he's got a lot from a technical perspective to work on because
Bro, it
he
went
hasn't been out of
Florida,
college.
Colorado, Washington. Those are the
Yeah,
and Dallas.
yeah. So had no problem throwing him to the Wolves then.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden they don't, there's a lack of trust with the player. And I find that unfortunate. Like if you look at the calendar of when they could potentially have played him, like there
Yeah.
wasn't much opportunity where he wasn't played. He was played on the Western road trip.
Yeah.
He was played before the Western road trip. He was played after the Western road trip. Like I went down the calendar and I was like, where would I play him? And
Yeah.
the thing is I don't really think they missed out on an opportunity to play him. And it's just unfortunate that he just kept going back to Montembeault, but they don't have the luxury of going 50-50 with their goalies like they are in
No.
Laval, for example. They can't do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it. And it's not to Dobesh's benefit, but at this point, my 2 cents is you see what's going on with Laval. They've already clinched. They're already making the playoffs.
They're in. Yep.
I see no reason why you can't do the swap and bring back up Cayden Primeau and send back down Jakub Dobes. Because at the end of the day, I don't know that Primeau has a future with the Montreal Canadiens organization. I think his camp probably wants out as well and wants an opportunity elsewhere. And if you're serious about developing Dobes and winning at the same time, then I don't think from the Canadiens' actions, I don't think that those two things coincide right now. I think you got to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe send Dobes to Laval for the playoff run. He was fantastic for him before he got called up, so I don't see why he couldn't go back down and continue to work on his technique and game over there and be a little bit less aggressive. And then on the flip side, Cayden Primeau's got all the confidence in the world right now. He's got one of the best records, if not he has the best record in all of the AHL. So you have a guy that's got his confidence, full momentum back. What do you have to lose at this point, right? If you're going to play the Philadelphia Flyers and unfortunately Dobes lets in 6 goals.
Exactly. Time for a big revenge game against Philadelphia. But I had heard from someone close to the Canadiens last week or a week and a half ago because I wondered. I reached out and I said, hey, listen, after the Islander game, you think they go with Dobes Saturday against Colorado?
No.
And the answer I got back was they're fighting for their lives. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Monty. That was the exact response I got back from someone with the Canadiens, essentially.
Yeah.
And so that mentality circles in the back of my mind about goaltending. And I think the biggest problem with Sam Montembeault, Marco, is he's not Carey Price. And I see some people in this market like, hey, I've always seen good goaltending in this market. Sam Montembeault's a fine goaltender. He's slightly above average. But when you're slightly above average, occasionally you dip below average and you have a turbulent week and a half, a turbulent 2 weeks. To me, that's the summation of the Canadiens goaltending situation at this point, So as we embark on a new week, right? And wondering about where this Canadiens team is, it still very much is still a management thing. And I guess let's end on this one. When you look at Martin St. Louis' body of work, it overflows with more positivity than it does with anything else.
Yes.
Nobody's perfect, right? Just so we're clear that the takeaway here in this segment is MSL has done an unbelievable job here.
Yeah, I
just want to make that clear.
I feel like most of the critique to the key players, you've seen critique to Montembeault for some of the soft goals he's allowed in. Mike Matheson for the fact that, all these, blips in concentration and the errors that he makes. Nick Suzuki not necessarily always stepping up with the goal when they need it the most, against a team like the Carolina Hurricanes. I look at that and I say part of that is on Martin St. Louis, and part of that is a wholeheartedly acknowledged decision that was taken by Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton. Like, they did not want to pay the price to improve this team. They did not want to pluck players out of Laval to save this team's season because they want them to go on a run together. So the decision was made long ago. And as you know, like if you want to blame someone, blame the Canadiens for sticking to their guns. I like that's the part I don't know what's like. For a fan, I totally understand. I totally sympathize. It is frustrating to watch a team that was in a playoff spot lose out of a playoff spot and continue to try to battle back into a playoff spot, but seemingly doing so when half their forward core looks like they're injured. When you look at Josh Anderson or Brendan Gallagher or Yoel Armia, we know that there's something going on there. So it's difficult to look at, but to me, I think, you know, the core of this team has given fans a lot to be excited about and a lot to be hopeful for. I think the only thing to keep into consideration is I think this makes the need to go and get secondary scoring so much more of a priority.
Yeah.
But it's not the only priority.
Marco, a pleasure as always. Thank you, sir. And make sure to check out that comment section. It's lit AF, as the kids like to say.
Oh my
Thanks,
God,
brother.
No problem.
Yeah.